Good afternoon and welcome to Parlay for Perfection at Louisiana Downs, the place to race since 1974. I also want to remind you, if you have a gambling problem, 1-877-770-STOP. We want you to gamble responsibly around here on the horses or the ball games, whatever, which brings us to the sports book at the Inside Rail Restaurant and Bar right here at the Louisiana Downs. Also, brew, coffee, and beer bar right across the way, serving all the best refreshments. Even the Lila's King Cakes have those as well. Sports betting. So I'm going to take you through a trip here. This is our third installment of the podcast and the show. I want to take you through the installment of Sports Betting 101. I hadn't really touched on that a whole lot and what sports betting is. So you can bet on any sport, any game, or an individual statistic. You can bet on all that right here at the Inside Rail. But what that does is you can do that through your platform on your phone or right here live at the premises. But you can bet on any ball games. You can do any of that. And if you're correct, you're going to get paid out on that. And it's based on the odds, which are set by the sports book. So the odds are set right here, the Inside Rail. So what we'll talk about specifically today are money lines. Money lines are what is for the underdog and the favorite. So in other words, if Duke is playing North Carolina, which they are tonight, but so Duke is the favorite, they would be minus 110. So you'd have to put $110 to win $100. If North Carolina was plus 160, you'd put up $100 to win 160. So that is the way that money lines are set. That's the way that they are. So that's how you get that set for you on gambling and on betting. And with that, we've talked a lot about NFL in the last 3 weeks, and why wouldn't we? It's been playoff time. The playoff atmospheres have been electric. We've actually crushed it here on Parlay for Perfection. You know, if you've watched too, you've seen I've had Jeremy Gant here with me and Bayou Kubota, one of our big sponsors here of the program. And he's just awful at sports gambling. He's in sports betting. He's probably like 1-7. I mean, that's pretty bad. Me, on the other hand, I've been just tearing it up, tearing it down. Now, last week, what you can't account for are injuries and referees, frankly, in the NFL. So last week we had the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers in their first game, the NFC Championship game, and Philadelphia just routed them. But let's talk about why they did. So there in the first quarter, the first drive, they got to Brock Purdy, tore his UCL right there in his elbow. This guy had to have surgery this past week. So as you know, if you followed San Francisco at all in the NFL, what you saw was Brock Purdy was the third-string quarterback. So it was Jimmy Garoppolo, and then it was Trey Lance, then it was Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant, too, by the way. The last pick in the NFL draft came in, and he had a stellar season as he was undefeated going into the playoffs, and then gets to that game and has an unfortunate injury that takes him out. So Philadelphia wrecked it. So, and I'm saying that because that was a game that I lost. That's the only way I lose that game, in fact, is Brock Purdy going down. Then you have Johnson, I guess he would be the fourth-string quarterback, come in, and he probably barely knew the playbook. Certainly didn't think he'd be playing that day. And then he gets injured, and then they have to bring Purdy in just to hand off. I mean, frankly, I would have had McCaffrey as the emergency quarterback or something. Just let him throw something. But anyway, that's the way it happened. They go down. Philadelphia's in the Super Bowl. Really like their makeup. They are a tough team. So they are going to be in there against the Kansas City Chiefs, which to a lot of people is no surprise. But the NFL and the referees, gave them like 5 third downs on one of the last drives, and they end up getting the first down. Anyway, it takes away from the clock, so it takes down Kansas City and Cincinnati. I really like Burrow in that game, so I say that because those are my excuses for losing, because I don't just lose. I'm probably one of the best you've ever seen at sports gambling and sports picks. I mean, I have a track record that's second to none. And so that's that. So as we transition, we have the big game, the Super Bowl, coming up next weekend, which I'm inviting everyone out to Louisiana Downs. It's going to be an exciting atmosphere. Going to be a big day, a lot of giveaways. Also, right here at the Inside Rail, you can watch the big game with some big-time stars that are going to be here next week. Not going to unveil who they are yet, but I want you to come out, meet some of these people. Check it out. We're going to have a big day. Going to be a good atmosphere for the Super Bowl. In saying that, though, today's Saturday, and today's one of the big days for college basketball. A lot of big games on tap today. Some have already started, so I like that Kansas and Iowa State game. And I had, Iowa State was a dog in that one, and I got them early over there at the sports book, brought to you by the Inside Rail. And that game's 59-43 right now, Iowa State over Kansas. Kind of a shock to a lot of people. Not for me, though. I don't miss. So in saying that, that was an early game that we caught, that I got over there to get bet. But I did not get it here on the show because it had already started, and we can't do that. But so I like TCU, Oklahoma State. That's a game coming up. And you can hit the button on that one. Hit the button. Yeah, that's one right there. TCU, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a 4-point favorite in that game over TCU. Over under 138 in that one. Money line TCU plus 158. Minus 190 for Oklahoma State. So if you just listened, you know how to bet those money lines now. All right, that's the game that I took on the two-way action. This is at Gallagher-Iba Arena in Stillwater. So it's an away game for TCU. TCU started the season hot. They are kind of rolling a little bit. They're 29%, though, in three-point field goals this year. But they are also causing 16 turnovers a game. And so I'm going to tell you which way I'm going to go in that one with Oklahoma State, because they're only turning the ball over 13 times a game. But I'm going to tell you with a money line and with the spread, I like TCU at plus 4. That's right. Write that down on and get it going for you, as it's a 4-point plus 4 for TCU, plus 158 on that money line. So every $100 will win you $158. You got to like that. That's a bargain right there. Two-way action, TCU. Take that. Also, Florida State, Louisville. Now, this game's in Louisville, Kentucky, in the bluegrass country there. Tallahassee, as I call them, against Louisville. Tallahassee is a 5-point favorite. Florida State's minus 5 over Louisville. And Tallahassee Junior College are minus 210 in that one. I say take Florida State minus 5 in that one. Louisville's 3-19 on the year. Although Florida State is 7-16, I like Florida State. It's a game you really don't like to bet that much, but you got to take Florida State in that one at minus 5. All right, Tulane, Memphis. That's your next game to go. Memphis a 17-5 record. Tulane's 14-7. Hit the button, Brian. We got a little two-way action on this one. Two-way action. The over-under's 161. Memphis favored by 7. It's a 7-point spread there. It's at FedEx Forum in Memphis. So I like Memphis in that one, minus 7, and then take that over-under 161. Take the under in that one. That's under 161. I don't think both teams equal up to that over-under total. Memphis all the way in that one. Next game, interesting, Bama, LSU. It's at the PMAC, as they call it. I say Pete Maravich Assembly Center because I don't like to shorten things up. So I like Bama minus 11.5 in that one over LSU. LSU stinks. They're terrible at basketball. All right, I like Bama minus 11.5 right there in Baton Rouge. LSU's a plus 460 on the money line, so every $100 wins you 460. If you want to take that bet, you can. It's not very wise, though. But I like Bama. Roll Tide roll in that one. No surprise, they're used to doing it in Baton Rouge in football. They're going to do it in Baton Rouge today in basketball. All right, SMU, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs in Dallas, Texas. Dallas, USA. But they're traveling to East Carolina to face the Pirates today. They do like SMU at 2 points there, -2 for SMU against East Carolina in that game. Plus 115 for East Carolina on that money line. -135 for SMU. I don't think it matters. I like SMU to pull the win off, cover that at 2 points. I like them in that one. That's SMU rolling the over/under 141. Not going to matter. I wouldn't touch that over/under. SMU -2. Take them. All right, next game up at the Humphrey Dome at Mississippi State in Starkville, or as we know it, Stark Vegas. For everybody scoring at home there, Missouri plus 3.5 dog to Mississippi State. They're a 3.5-point favorite at home, over/under 139. Plus 135 on that money line for Mizzou. Not going to matter. I like Mississippi State 3.5 points. Load up on Mississippi State there at home at the Humphrey Dome. They're going to get it done. Mississippi State is your winner there, and they cover the spread. Washington State, UCLA. Big game coming up at 5:30 today on the Central Time Zone. I like UCLA at -11.5 over Washington State Cougs. There's a reason why it's almost a 2-touchdown spread there. And I know we're talking about basketball, but 11.5, I like it. I like UCLA there to take that. They are at the Poly Pavilion in Los Angeles. UCLA rolls there. Oklahoma, West Virginia, the Fighting Pat McAfee's from West Virginia. Do they have what it takes there? Because they're a 6-point favorite at home over the Sooners of Oklahoma out of Norman. Over/under 138. Plus 6 for Oklahoma. Do you take them or do you take West Virginia? I'm taking West Virginia -6 right there for the Mountaineers. The Mountaineers roll that 6. All right, Florida, Kentucky. If you know me, you know I've got a major rooting interest in this game. This game's at Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. Okay? So Kentucky's a 5.5-point favorite over the Florida Gators, who are coming off of a big win over number 2 Tennessee earlier this week. Florida beat Tennessee there. Florida's coming into Kentucky as a 5.5-point dog at Kentucky. So you got to like that. I'm liking Kentucky -5.5 at home against Florida. Florida just they never seem to get the right thing dialed in against Kentucky. So I like Kentucky there, even if they're in a down year. I like what they do. All right, big game of the day, North Carolina and Duke. This is on Tobacco Road in Durham, North Carolina. The Duke Blue Devils over the North Carolina Tar Heels. I like running on a rock, throw it through the pay window. Although this is the worst 20-game stretch, or the fourth worst 20-game stretch in the last 20 years for the Duke Blue Devils at 14-6. So, but I tell you which way I'm going to. I like the home court advantage in this rivalry. They're like 50-50 in the last 100 meetings in this rivalry. But I tell you which way I'm going to go. I'm going to swing it to Duke, ride it on a rock, and throw it through a pay window. And those are your picks for Saturday right here at Louisiana Downs in our college men's basketball programs that we have right there. Take that, ride it on a rock, and throw it through a pay window. Strive for perfection and settle for excellence right here at Parlay for Perfection.
Buddha.